says it's open, but it's got a cone there. Oh, there we go. Good morning.
Do you have a reservation?
I don't need a Bear Lake pass today.
Have a good day.
Thank you. That's the Fall River entrance.
Your auto tape tour guide. We're about to start our trip through Rocky Mountain National Park, where we'll see some of the world's most breathtaking natural wonders. To get the most from your auto tape tour, you should try to maintain a speed of around 30 miles an hour. Whenever you stop at a recommended viewpoint, or any place where a panoramic scene or animal catches your fancy, please remember to turn me off. And keep me turned off till you resume driving along the tour path. In this way, you'll be sure that what your ears are hearing corresponds to what your eyes are seeing. At this time, we are headed for sign number 1, Deer Ridge Junction, where we'll start our tour. Incidentally, on this tour, there are 10 viewpoints or stops recommended. Each is marked along the road by numeral signs in the shape of the National Park Service arrowhead emblem. So, are you ready for some historical and general information about this world-famous park? Okay, we'll start at the beginning. Rocky Mountain National Park was first opened in 1915. Since then, its boundaries have been changed 3 times. It is now 30 miles long and from 15 to 24 miles wide. That, if my arithmetic is right, means 410 square miles of rugged gorges, splashing waterfalls, peaks, and valleys sculpted by nature and a fascinating variety of wild creatures that call this area home. As you probably figured out, Rocky Mountain National Park got its name from its location in the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. If you cared to count, you would find that in this park there are 65 named peaks, all more than 10,000 feet high. 42 of them reach 12,000 feet towards the sky, and 15 rise to a height of 13,000 or more feet. Long's Peak, the king of them all, stretches mightily to a height of 14,256 feet. Even at the foot of these towering giants, the altitude is about 8,000 feet, the equivalent of 1.5 miles above sea level. If you entered Rocky Mountain National Park by way of the Fall River entrance station, we should just about be in Horseshoe Park. You may already have seen some elk who often meander through this open meadow. Or perhaps you spotted some bighorn sheep roaming around Sheep Lake at the roadside in Horseshoe Park. Bighorn sheep frequent this lush area to feast on the succulent grass or lick the mineral salt mud around the lake shores. That's their idea, I'm told, of a gourmet dinner. Oh well, to each his own. Just beyond Sheep Lake, the old Fall River Road branches off to the right. This road was the first auto highway across the Continental Divide in northern Colorado, and the first highway through the park. It was, in fact, a dual crossing until Trail Ridge Road, which you are about to take, was opened in the 1930s. After Trail Ridge Road was built, the old Fall River Road served as an alternate passage until 1953, landslides rendered it impassable. In 1968, the old Fall River Road was reopened as a one-way-up motor trail to Fall River Pass. It's now mainly used by people who enjoy
That's the entrance right there.
Driving through the beautifully forested Fall River Valley. Along this trail, just beyond the top of the old Fall River Road, visitors can see the remains of sod-topped cabins which housed the convicts who first worked to build this pioneer trans-mountain road. entered the park via Beaver Meadows, you may have noticed that a spur road leaves the main one. If you'd taken this road, you'd have gone through Moraine Park and Glacier Basin to Bear Lake, the only high lake in the park accessible by automobile. Any visitor to the Rocky Mountain National Park who has the luxury of an extra hour or so should take this trip. The glaciated meadows, moraines, and the splendid view of Long's Peak makes this a side trip well worth taking. Driving on the main road towards Deer Ridge Junction, we find ourselves in a forest proliferating with ponderosa pine trees and dotted with Douglas fir and juniper. The streams here are bordered with graceful Colorado blue spruce, willows, birch, and alder trees. Aspen groves make unexpected and welcome appearances along this route. About now, we should be approaching sign number 1, Deer Ridge Junction. In a moment, you'll hear this sound, which will be your signal from now on to turn off your recorder. So get ready to switch me off. When we leave Deer Ridge Junction, turn me on again.
Deer Ridge Junction.
We're leaving Deer Ridge Junction, the beginning of our east-to-west drive across the famous Trail Ridge Road. At this point, we're 8,937 feet above sea level. By the time you reach the other end of this road, you'll have experienced driving at an elevation of 12,183 feet. It is the highest continuous automobile road in all of the United States. Before it was a paved road, it was a trail used by the Ute and Arapaho Indians. Speaking of Indians, it's believed that the first Indians reached the vicinity of Rocky Mountain National Park between 10 and 20,000 years ago. Exactly who these first comers were is not yet known, and the only evidence of such early existence comes from some artifacts recently found in the park. These artifacts have been estimated by archaeologists to be about 8,000 years old, and it is generally believed that this is far from the earliest civilization in the vicinity. At the time the Ute and Arapaho Indians were using this trail for hunting expeditions, there were numerous Indian trails here, but only 3 stretched across from Estes Park to Grand Lake. Those trails were called Dog or Fall River Trail, Big or Flat Top Trail, and Ridge or Child's Trail. The first 2 were shorter, but more dangerous routes to travel. Child's Trail was longer, but easier to follow. The present Trail Ridge Road, the one you're cruising along now, follows practically the same route as the original Child's Trail. Although Trail Ridge Road is only a little more than 42 miles long, it took over a quarter of a century to build, mostly because of limiting weather conditions. The road, as you now know it, was ready for travel by 1932. The cost of building this road figures out to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 a mile. And that's a pretty expensive neighborhood to be in. now, we should be approaching the lower Hidden Valley drainage. Here you might get a glimpse of the innumerable beaver dams and ponds near the road. These dams are constructed by, you should pardon the expression, eager beavers. They are made mostly of mud, parts of aspens, and debris. Usually they're started on shallow creeks, and as the water level rises, so does the dam. At the beginning, it's not much more than a solid heap of debris. Then, the busy little beaver chews and digs out a few underwater tunnels, as well as one or more rooms with the floor safely a few inches above water levels. In this dry, enemy-protected retreat, the clever little beaver lives and rears a family. Although his home is dry, the beaver is well adapted to its surrounding water environment. His hind legs are webbed for efficient swimming. His tail, broad and horizontally flattened, assists in underwater maneuvering. Swimming on the surface of water, a beaver is not exactly a speed demon. He usually goes at about 2 miles an hour, which certainly won't win him any speed contests. Before you strain your eyes trying to spot a beaver at work, I must tell you, chances are you won't see him. The beaver works mostly at night. Now, let's take a moment to synchronize. We should be just about ready to start our high climb up Trail Ridge Road. And it's just about time to shift gears. That's not just an expression, I mean it literally. When going up a steep grade, our car should be in low gear, or the engine will heat, fuel will vaporize, and we'll be stalled for 10 or 20 minutes. So, soon as we start the high climb, do your car and us a favor. Put your car in low gear. Hidden Valley, which we're now approaching, is a popular stop in both summer and winter. The lodge here serves as a park visitor center. You can stop here to rest, enjoy a variety of exhibits, check the illustrated park programs, use the picnic facilities, or grab a quick refreshment at the snack bar. During winter, this is a popular ski resort, with facilities for beginners as well as experienced ski buffs. A spur road leads from Trail Ridge Road to the parking area of Hidden Valley, sign number 2, your first stop point. Now you can turn me off. But don't forget to turn me on again when we get back onto Trail Ridge Road to continue the tour. Look to the north for an awe-inspiring skyline. That impressive silhouette is made up of the peaks of the Mummy Range and Bighorn Mountain. When we get to our next stop point, Many Parks Curve, chances are pretty good that we'll get to see some of the park's fascinating wildlife. In fact, I'd almost bet that we'll be greeted by chipmunks and golden-mantled ground squirrels when we arrive at Many Parks Curve. Both rodents, as well as some members of the crow family, are notorious little beggars. Chipmunks and ground squirrels are hard to tell apart. Both are reddish-brown above, with white underparts, and have 4 white stripes running along their backs. Both sound like this. The main distinguishing feature is the very definite, very visible white stripe across the face of the chipmunk. As for the members of the crow family who compete for handouts for motorists, here is the sound by which you can identify them. It is the sound of the Steller's jay, the gray jay, and the Clark's nutcracker. The gray jay, sometimes known as the Rocky Mountain jay or camp robber, has a dull gray body, light gray head, and short bill. It pals around with the Clark's nutcracker, which has a longer bill, light gray body, and white patches on black wings and tail. The Steller's jay isn't so common at Many Parks Curve. You'd recognize it by its rich blue wings, sharp crest, and salty manner. All 3 jaybirds are about the same size. The woods to our right here are populated by many other
This
small
is Many
animals.
Parks
The
Curve.
spruce squirrel, for instance, roams both the lodgepole pine and higher spruce fir forests with their bitter winters. Yet this rugged, predatory little animal refuses to hibernate. Even after a severe cold wave or storm, you can find the spruce squirrel spreading across treetops, hunting for small birds or birds' eggs, which it will devour. Many Parks Curve sounds to some listeners like a strange name. It comes from the fact that from here, we get great views of the many meadows below. Out here in the west, a mountain-enclosed meadow is known as a park. So, Many Parks Curve. Get it? Look straight ahead and you'll see long, parallel ridges of broken rocks built up at the edges of glaciers. Those moraines separate one park from the other. At Many Parks Curve, you'll find a sign that tells you the various wonders you can see from there. Keep your eyes to the left now. Do you see the Many Parks Curve parking area sign? Sign number 3. Before entering the parking area, watch out for cars coming down Trail Ridge Road. Remember, that means turn me off now.
The audio's a little bit ahead of where I'm driving. Or I'm ahead of the audio, I'm sorry. I'll slow down.
We're now heading for Rainbow Curve, and we're back on the Trail Ridge Road. As you may have experienced, the weather here can change as abruptly as a woman can change her mind. During this drive, it's possible that you may run into rain, hail, snow, wind, and sunshine. At night, it's not uncommon for a serene white fog to settle down over the roads and mountain peaks. Generally, though, the weather here is ideal for summer vacations. Crisp, clear nights and bright, sunny days. But in winter, the road is often blocked with snowdrifts over 30 feet deep. I should point out here that each time you ascend 1,000 feet on this road, you experience the same climate and biological conditions as if you'd driven 1,000 miles northward. When we reach the highest point on this road, the conditions will be the same as if you traveled 4,000 miles north. And in case you're interested, 4,000 miles north of Colorado would land you at, are you ready? The Arctic Circle. Look over to the right. Do you see a range that looks like an Egyptian mummy lying on its back? No? Come on. Look again. It really does look like an Egyptian mummy lying on its back. That's why it was named the Mummy Range. Hague's Peak, the second from the right, at 13,560 feet, is the highest mountain in the Mummy Range. Geologically, power of nature.
What caused the magnificent mountains in the Front Range? What caused the smooth and gentle slopes of Trail Ridge? The U-shaped valley, the up-tilted rock strata. It all started maybe 100 million years ago when a great sea covered much of this national park. Subtropical forests lined the shores. Animal life consisted of giant reptiles in the sea and on land, and flying reptiles in the air. As these animals died, their bones and remains fossilized and became trapped sedimentary layers of sand and silt brought down in the low hills. The sand, silt, and mud hardened into rock layers of sandstone and shale. All this took centuries to happen. Then, suddenly, great forces within the earth caused a gigantic lifting of the land under the sea. The land buckled and the old sea floor was uplifted and formed a long waves, looking something like a wrinkle in a carpet. Rock layers were fractured, and the fractures became faults as the rock layers slipped or were thrust along the fracture zones. Through some of the fractures, molten lava oozed up upwards and formed lavas on the surface and granite beneath the surface. All this over a period of millions of years with the beginnings of the Front Range.
As time went on, this highland was slowly worn down by water, wind, freezing action, until most of the sea-laden rock layer and lavas eroded away from the high center of the range, exposing the more ancient crystalline rocks. The schists and gneisses were formed of core. Through continued erosion, the surface of these mountains was slowly reduced to a rolling upland. The gentle slopes you will find at the top of Trail Ridge is a remnant of this erosional stage. But at the end of the Mesozoic era and continuing into the Cenozoic, some 40 to 60 million years ago, another series of uplands raised the eroding mountain range, giving the streams renewed vigor and allowing them to carve deeper and sharper valleys. The Ice Age began. Giant snowdrifts compacted into ice, forming glaciers of tremendous size. The slow, ponderous mountain valley movement of the glaciers holding tons of rocky, green, massive ice, sculptured the sharp valley bottoms into U-shapes. As the glaciers moved down the valleys, loose rock material carried by the ice was deposited along the sides, forming lateral moraines. At the ends of the glaciers, ice-carried rocks were dumped to form terminal moraines. As we've already seen and continue to see, there are many excellent examples of moraines in the park. Other evidences, glaciation, such as ice-polished rocks, erratic boulders, and marks called striations, can be plainly seen in many places. There are many fine small glaciers or glaciers in the park, but for obvious reasons, no trail or road has been built close to them. The earth history of Rocky Mountain National Park is truly a story of gigantic earth movements, eons of building and wearing away. As nature continues to alter and redesign our earth, no doubt thousands of years from now, Rocky Mountain National Park as we see it today will look entirely different. Portion of the Trail Ridge Road, the forest surrounding us is characterized by stately Engelmann spruce and subalpine fir. You can tell one from the other by touching the needles. Spruce needles are four-sided, rigid to the touch, and sharp-pointed. Fir needles are flattened and softer to the touch. From our car, we can spot the firs by their erect, dark-colored cones, mostly high in the tree. Look down in the forest below the road, and you'll see open paths of cut trees. They are the ski trails of Hidden Valley. At Upper Hidden Valley, there is the terminal building for the T-bar lift, which leads near to the top of the ridge of the Big Drift. In the winter, shuttle buses carry skiers and sightseers from Hidden Valley Lodge to the ski slopes at Upper Hidden Valley. Ski trails lead down from Upper Hidden Valley, making it possible to ski from the Big Drift all the way down to the lodge, more than 1,600 feet below us here. When we get to Rainbow Curve, our next stop on the auto tape tour, we'll get a splendid view of the road we're coming up now. Also from there, it'll be easier to recognize Horseshoe Park as the flat, glacial lake bed it is. Just ahead is Rainbow Curve, sign number 4. When the clouds are right, this parking place is a splendid viewpoint for seeing some of the most astonishingly beautiful rainbows you've ever seen. So, slow down, stop, turn me off, and look for the rainbows.
That was Rainbow Curve. I apologize for the quality of the tape. I've searched for years, bought 3 on eBay, all had damage. That's as good as I can get it.
As we leave Rainbow Curve, our road follows the rim of another deep canyon, Canyon Valley. Look to the left. See how the trees are becoming sparse? Near the upper limits of this area, see how the trees grow twisted and grotesque, often flat and ground-hugging, they sprawl behind boulders. This is characteristic of all alpine mountaintops, and such trees are often called Krummholz, a German word for deformed trees. As we climb to the upper reaches of Trail Ridge Road, we come across limber pine, the only five-needle pine in the park. Near tree line, it's easily identified by its distorted, twisted, ragged appearance. The name limber pine comes from the ease with which the branches can be bent without breaking. The cones are often 6 inches long, the largest of any conifer in Colorado. For visual proof of how destructive wind can be, look over the trees along the ridge to the left. In this region of the park, high-velocity winds, 50 to 70 miles an hour, occur all year. So don't get nervous. Summer velocities are more commonly between 15 to 30, so it's not very likely you'll be blown away. Notice how the trees in exposed locations have limbs only on the lee side of their trunks. The limbs on the other side have been killed by fierce winds. These trees are known in alpine climate as burner trees. The wind, by etching out the soft wood, also gives the dead tree trunks along the road their weird appearance. Where trees are sheltered, they grow in their normal shape. Protection from the elements is important for survival up here. At Ghost Forest, Canyon Valley, we have a vivid example of another great destroyer of trees. Fire. Once, this was a living forest, but a fire which swept the canyon over 50 years ago reduced it to a graveyard of living, whitening stumps. Talking of this kind of tragic waste, I can't think of a better time to remind you of Smokey the Bear's ABCs of fire prevention. A. Always hold matches till cold, then pinch it to make sure. B. Be sure to drown all campfires, then stir and drown again. C. Crush out your cigarettes, cigar, pipe ashes. Use the ashtray of your car when you're in forest country. Remember that only you can prevent forest fires. In a few minutes, we'll reach timberline, the line of trees. This is the place where trees and the elements, wind and rain, snow and cold, are in constant battle for supremacy and survival. The elements always win. You'll recognize timberline by the battle-scarred trees. Dwarfed and soul-torn, the trees on the fringe give way to the treeless expansion of tundra, the flower-rich meadowland which grows above the limit of trees. At an altitude of about 11,000 feet, the rigorous tundra climate is similar to that of northern Alaska or Siberia. As mentioned before, severe weather conditions can be expected along Trail Ridge any time during the year. It's not uncommon to have a blizzard here in the summer, and because of the ever-present wind, the chill factor up here can be equivalent to midwinter at the same time the temperature down in Estes Park is in the 80s. Oddly, there are times when weather conditions below are nasty, while up here is beautiful. Sometimes, when we're driving this 11-mile stretch that runs through tundra country, we are actually driving above the clouds. By the way, the park provides rock cabins. You may have seen some along this route, for travelers to use as shelters when caught in unseasonable summer blizzards. There is snow removal equipment in these cabins, as well as an emergency telephone and oil stove. The big rocks on the roofs help keep the cabins from blowing away in high winds. In addition to the beauty of the tundra, superlative views stretch out to the south across Forest Canyon, including one of majestic Long's Peak. The naming of this peak is an important first in the park's history. In 1819, President Monroe sent Major Stephen H. Long to explore the boundaries of the Louisiana Purchase. Major Long entered what is now Colorado in the spring of 1820. While camping near modern Greeley, he sighted the Great Peak. Members of his party named it Long's Peak in honor of their leader, and it became the first park feature to be named or written about. Forest Canyon Overlook, our next stop, a 5-minute walk along an easy path will reward you with another breathtaking view into the depths of Forest Canyon and across to the rugged walls of Hayden Gorge. When taking your walk, thanks, I'll stay here and wait for you, be sure to stay on the path. Tundra areas are fragile and may be permanently damaged by being walked on repeatedly. It takes several hundred years to achieve the growth you see here, so do be careful. Meet you back here in a little while.
I am still a little ahead of the tape. I'll slow down some more.
As we pull out of Forest Canyon parking area, the mountains directly ahead is Sundance. On one of its summits is the Toll Memorial, erected in honor of Roger Walcott Toll, first superintendent of Rocky Mountain National Park. From the parking area of our next stop, sign number 7, an easy half-mile trail leads to the memorial. At this point, our elevation will be 12,110 feet. Forgive me if I sound a little paternal, but I want to warn you not to overtax yourself in this high altitude. If you have a heart condition, stay near your car. If you're robust, you can take a slow round trip over this highest nature trail in the world. At an easy pace, this trip should take about 40 minutes. At Rock Cut, you may get to meet some of the park's little animals. This is a favorite hangout of the yellow-bellied marmot. A sociable little rodent who thinks that this parking area is a terrific spot for making friends with tourists who invariably hand out peanuts and other edible goodies to the friendly animal, against park regulations, of course. You'll recognize the yellow-bellied marmot by its reddish underparts, grizzled back, and bushy tail. These little fellows are comfort-loving creatures. They usually pack their dens with soft grass, store up a heavy layer of fat in the summer, and hibernate during the cold winter. Their short, sharp whistle can be heard a mile away. In this high altitude, you might also see the pika. It looks like a small, gray guinea pig, but it's really a close relative of the rabbit. Pika seldom, if ever, hibernate, although it lives only at high altitudes, mostly above tree lines. If you glimpse a pika anywhere below 9,000 feet, you can be sure the little fellow is lost. Rock Cut is one of the pika's favorite spots. Here it greets the traveler with shrill shrieks as it luxuriates in the sun. During the summer, several species of birds take up residence in the tundra, but they're too chicken or too self-indulgent or too smart to stay through the frigid winters. Only the stoic white-tailed ptarmigan makes its year-round residence. These alpine grouse and mottled brown in summer turn pure white in winter, and because of this natural camouflage, they seldom show alarm or fear when closely approached. From Rock Cut parking area, you'll get a magnificent view 2,000 feet down into Forest Canyon, across into Gorge Lakes Canyon, peaks along the Continental Divide, and the Never Summer Range. The Never Summer Range was named by the Indians because it's never free of snow. A beautiful, simple, and logical name, isn't it? As we approach the Rock Cut parking area, notice how this road was cut through some spectacular rock formations. Parking areas are on both sides of the road. Enjoy yourselves. I'm going to rest my throat for a little.
And you're looking at rock cut. Right now we're even with the tape.
We're now on our way to Iceberg Lake Overlook, where you'll see some more of the natural phenomena of Rocky Mountain National Park. The road we're on, Trail Ridge Road, is something of a phenomenon itself. Traditionally, this road is officially open to tourists about the last of May and remains open for travel until the end of October. Sometimes an early snow will close the road for travel before that time. The opening of the road symbolizes the meeting of East and West. National Park snowplows and snow-clearing crews work for a couple of weeks clearing the road starting at each end of the divide. Finally, on the appointed day, cars travel from Grand Lake on the west side of the divide and from Estes Park on the east side and meet at Rock Cut, the highest parking area on the road. There, the barrier ribbon is ceremoniously cut and the road is declared officially open. Because of the unusual topography of this region, snow begins to accumulate as early as autumn in certain places. It doesn't melt until the following summer or later. As a result, this region has a very short growing season, and not many plants adapt to this situation. On the other hand, these areas give plants considerable protection from the extreme alpine winters because temperatures underneath 2.5 feet of snow never drop below 27 degrees, no matter how cold it is directly above the snow. As you can see from looking around, there are a few perpetual snowfields. In fact, at our next stop, Iceberg Lake Overlook, a mass of compacted snow resembling ice remains most of the summer, and this persistent snow is what gives this tiny lake its name. About the only time of year we can catch a glimpse of the lake is in mid or late August. The rest of the year it's just one big stretch of snow and ice to the human eye. The lake itself is 350 feet below the Overlook parking area. The volcanic rocks surrounding and towering this lakelet are different from the schist, gneiss, and granites we've seen along the road to this point. This volcanic material flowed down from Specimen Mountain about 4 miles to the west, when that mountain was an active volcano thousands of years ago. At Iceberg Lake Overlook, you'll get a magnificent view of Fall River and the one-way up Motor Nature Trail. This Fall River Road was used as a testing area for cars and drivers, and was especially popular back in the 1920s when it was first opened. If you've been driving along that road then, you'll have seen many a Model T Ford driving up a hill backwards, because in those days, their reverse gear had more power than its flow gear. In spite of the difficulties and hazards, the road was a favorite of those daring motorists, dusters, and disguised by goggles. After we stopped at the Iceberg Lake Overlook parking area, sign number 7, look back at the smooth turns of the road we've been on and compare them to those sharp switchbacks of the Fall River Motor Nature Trail. You'll understand why Auto Tape Tours chose the Trail Ridge Road.
I'm a little behind the tape.
As we pull out of Iceberg Lake Overlook, check your mileage gauge. 4/10 of a mile from here, we will cross the highest point on Trail Ridge Road, 12,183 feet above sea level. across the highest point on Trail Ridge Road, 12,183 feet above sea level. There's no marking there, and if you didn't bother to look at your mileage gauge, you'll soon be able to tell we passed that high point by the action of your car. Once we've passed it, it's all downhill from then on. As we ride along, feeling like we're on top of the world, you can look about you and see the park's boundaries. With the multitude of imposing peaks, mountain climbing is a popular sport here. It was Paul Pizzot, mountain climber and guide emeritus of the Teton country, who once wrote, "There are old climbers and there are bold climbers, but there are no old climbers." With this simple philosophy,
This is the high point of Trail Ridge Road, right here.
Enthusiasts to observe all the safety rules of the park and to call on them for information regarding the best and safest routes. Did you know, no, how would you, that the famous Stanley steamer was built primarily for use in this region? Freeman O. Stanley, one of the inventor brothers, owned the Stanley Hotel. He used his automobile to bring his guests from the railroad station and nearby lines and to take them on sightseeing trips along the foothills of this park. Stanley's fleet of automobiles were equipped with telephones, which could be attached at any point to the telephone lines in the vicinity. This was a valuable gimmick to have in case of breakdown. Mr. Stanley had one outstanding idiosyncrasy, particularly strange for a man who invented and presumably believed in his own automobile. He refused to drive backwards. To avoid it, he installed a turntable in the garage of his Estes Park home. Wonder what Dr. Floyd would have made of that. We will be approximately at the midway point on the Trail Ridge, and our trip through the tundra will be nearing its end. If your curiosity about life in the tundra has been aroused, make a point when we get to Falls River Pass of visiting the Alpine Visitor Center. The museum there has displays which you'll find nowhere else in the world. At the pass, you'll also find a gift shop, cafeteria, and restrooms. In a second, you can turn me off, and after you do, flip me over to side 2 according to directions. Then, when you turn me on again, we'll be ready to make our descent.
Alpine Visitor Center, Trail Ridge Store. Those are cars coming up Old Trail Ridge Road. I'll have another video up with that. I'm sorry, Old Fall River Road. It's the Old Fall River Road. I'll have a video up about that. Current elevation 11,796 feet. 11,796 feet.
While we're starting our journey downward, I just want to tell you what a nice group you've been so far. You know, I haven't heard a single complaint out of one of you. And in my business, that's very nice. Our next auto tape tour stop, Medicine Bow Curve, is only half a mile away.
Medicine Bow Curve, right there.
If you look northwest, you'll see the Medicine Bow Mountains stretching into blue Wyoming. In that state, the popular name for the continuation of the range is Snowy Range, because the 10,000-foot peneplain of the Medicine Bow Mountains is topped by a range of crystalline quartzite that glistens like snow. From Medicine Bow Curve parking area, look to the west, and you'll see Valley of Cache La Poudre River and Specimen Mountain. The parking area sign number 9 is to our left, so be careful when making the turn. Specimen Mountain did indeed smoke. Its appearance today testifies geologically to its volcanic origin. Specimen Mountains formed in layers laid down by eruptions, volcanic, glass, ash, lava, mud flows, breccia, and pumice. Its cone probably once stood thousands of feet higher than the present summit of the mountain. Its name, Specimen Mountain, appears on an 1882 township map. The specimens are gemstones, opals, agates, chalcedony, and black obsidian. Don't try to collect any of these as souvenirs. Collecting is prohibited in national parks. And now that we're such good friends, I wouldn't want to see you get into trouble with the law. We're on is going below the tree line. The trees you see are mostly Engelmann spruce and subalpine fir. Because of the abundance of moisture here, wildflower gardens of rare beauty burst out in these forests during the summer. Here the Blue Rocky Mountain columbine seems to flourish best. The imagination of the Indians wove this striking flower into many legends. One of the most popular is attributed to the Ute Indians, and it goes something like this. Great leader, Chief White Snow showed affection only for one papoose, Raw Brown. His little girl papoose, Blue Flower, and his faithful squaw never received a smile. One day, little Broad Brow was stolen by the daring Sioux, and despite prolonged efforts, was never recovered. The kidnapping of Broad Brow caused Chief White Snow to become more cruelly stern to his squaw and Blue Flower. His uncomplaining squaw died when Blue Flower was only 6 years old. Suddenly, Chief White Snow seemed to realize for the first time that he'd never given the affection and kind words so greatly needed by his family. His disposition changed. He grew affectionate, and he lavished Blue Flower with his love. He abandoned long hunts and war so we might be near the little girl. At 12, Blue Flower was a sweet, lovely young maiden. That spring, great snows fell, and many of Chief White Snow's tribe died. Neither sacrifices nor solemn songs led Manitow, their god, to stay the sweep of death. The chief aged with care. Night and day he prayed, "O Manitow, take not my little Blue Flower from me." But death continued to plague the tribe. In desperation, Chief White Snow tried to escape and save his daughter's life by leaving his valley. He started across the high San Juan Mountains, hoping to find a warm, healthy valley on the other side. Just before reaching timberline, a fierce snowstorm overwhelmed them. For hours, snow piled down on them. When the storm subsided, everything was deeply buried, and the mountains were hidden in white. The next summer, some passing Indians saw a strange but beautiful white and blue flower growing in the moist earth by a snowbank. The blue and white Rocky Mountain Columbine. And so the legend ends. Typically Indian, the story has no moral, just magic. Actually, over 750 plant varieties have been found in Rocky Mountain National Park. Many are lush and colorful and so admired that they've been domesticated by commercial nurseries. Seeds and directions for growing these plants in your garden may be obtained commercially. So, no matter how tempting it is, please don't pick the flowers. Not only is it not nice, you'll get into trouble. Park rangers strictly enforce regulations prohibiting the picking, defacing, or destroying of all park foliage. This section of Trail Ridge Road is a popular spot with mule deer and American elk, and you might see one, or a herd, especially towards evening. Before we get to the Continental Divide, we'll pass Poudre Lake, headwaters of Cache la Poudre River. This name is one of the few of French origin in Colorado. It was named by some French-speaking Creoles from St. Louis. In 1836, these fur trappers, caught in early fall snowfall, dug a hole beside a stream in which they deposited some of their supplies, including black powder. Then carefully restored the ground above their cache to its natural look, even burning wood over it. The next spring, they found their cache intact. They referred to the river thereafter as the hiding place of the gunpowder, La Cache la Poudre. Since then, the spelling and pronunciation of the name has been changed, argued about, and fought over. But to the average Coloradan, the name has been anglicized and westernized. Just call it the Poudre, and anyone here will know what you're referring to. Closer to the Continental Divide, one of you is likely to ask aloud or to yourself, just what is the Continental Divide? It's not as complicated to understand as many textbooks make out. The Continental Divide separates water drainage to the Atlantic and the Pacific. If a drop of water falls to the west side of the Great Divide, it will eventually find its way to the Pacific. If another drop falls right next to it, but is on the east side of the divide, it will become part of the Atlantic. The Great Divide runs from Alaska almost to Cape Horn. When we get to Milner Pass, stop sign number 10, you'll see the Cache la Poudre River. At Milner Pass, it drains into the Platte, which joins the Missouri, flows into the Mississippi, and finally finds its way to the Gulf of Mexico, a part of the Atlantic Ocean. On the other side of the divide, Beaver Creek drains into the Colorado River, which flows through Grand Canyon National Park and spills into the Gulf of California, part of the Pacific Ocean. So, now you know what is meant by the Continental or Great Divide.
I passed the Continental Divide about 2 minutes past. I hope you saw it. Milner Pass. Then I passed Irene Lake.
Forest growth you see here on the western side of the divide is composed mainly of Engelmann spruce and alpine fir. Limber pine, those grotesquely misshapen trees you saw at Timberline, can be seen here in its more natural form. As we head down the west side of the Continental Divide, the Never Summer Range comes into clear view. These mountains were not in the original boundaries of the park, but were added in 1929. The Arapaho Indians called the serrated range Chibi Chu. Its literal translation is Never No Summer. The U.S. Geological Survey thought the Indian word too difficult for Americans to pronounce and found the double negative translation in English offensive. So they settled on Never Summer Mountain instead of Never No Summer. Frankly, I don't see no difference. Our next auto tour stop is at Farview Curve, sign number 11. Here you'll find more chipmunks and ground squirrels hanging around waiting for a handout. Jays and Clark's Nutcrackers also favor Farview. From the parking area of Farview, the mountains far to the south are members of the Gore Range. The slope to our left is Jackstraw Mountain. The child's game of jackstraws, later commercialized and called pickup sticks, consists of tossing many slivers of wood into a heap, then delicately trying to remove one without disturbing the others. This mountain looks like a giant game of jackstraws, with its dead trees standing upright or crazily jumbled as they were left by a fire in 1872. It's believed that this fire is one of several set by the Ute Indians to drive the white man out. The white pioneers were killing so much game that the Utes feared their source of food would be exhausted. After some important powwows, Chief Colorado, the chubby Ute leader, set fires designed to burn...
This is Farview Curve.
The story is that the wind changed, blew the fire to the timber hills where the Utes lived, and destroyed their entire settlement. Across the Kawanichi Valley from Farview Curve, on the slopes of the Never Summer, is a cleared line that appears to be a roadway. Actually, it's an irrigation ditch which carries water from the Pacific drainage slopes and empties it across the Continental Divide to supply irrigated lands on the eastern plains. Built over 75 years ago, the 14-mile ditch helps the farmers around Fort Collins who need it in late summer for the last irrigation for sugar beets. Ditches like the Grand Ditch have turned what Major Stephen H. Long once called the Great American Desert into the Sugar Bowl of America. We're getting to Farview Curve now, so please turn me off till we leave.
As you can see, I'm still a minute or two ahead of the tape. Just trying to slow down.
While the Grand Ditch is still in operation, if you wished, you could see an interesting modern industrial project called the Colorado Big Thompson Project. Its prime objective is to capture surplus water from the western slope of the Continental Divide and channel it to the eastern side. This is done for two reasons. First, to produce hydroelectric power, giving the region a source of low-cost electricity, and second, to provide irrigation to farms in eastern Colorado, where it is sorely needed late in summer. Besides being a highly practical project, which helps stabilize the agricultural and industrial economy of northeastern Colorado, some extra time, try to spend a little of it at the Shadow Mountain Recreation Area. These beautiful scenic lakes have much to offer outdoor enthusiasts. Fishing, hiking, camping, picnicking, horseback riding, water skiing, and scuba diving, as well as scheduled sightseeing cruises. With its Here you'll learn as much as you want to know about the entire Colorado Big Thompson project. A word of caution. The switchback turns at this portion of the road are very sharp. Take care to obey all traffic signs. At various curves along here, you can get astonishingly beautiful views of Far Gorge Range, the Never Summer Mountains, and Kawanichi Valley. The naming of this valley, incidentally, is a perfect illustration of how to confuse the public by changing names. Its workaday name was, and is, the North Fork Valley. A pretty perfect name for a valley located in the North Fork of the Colorado River, right? Wrong. When the park was being readied for its initial opening, the Colorado Geographic Board must have decided the valley needed a more colorful name. So, in they came with a bag full of Arapaho Indian words they settled on and recommended it to be called Hakihana Valley, meaning Valley of the Wolves. Hakihana was also the name of an extinct tribe that lived with the northern Arapaho Indians. Confident that the name would be accepted, R.B. Marshall printed it on the first map of the park, published in 1915 by the Denver Chamber of Commerce. Meanwhile, the Colorado Geographic Board had a change of mind and decided to call it Kawanichi Valley, because that name was, in their words, somewhat more pronounceable. Perhaps so, but it wasn't even a real word. This invented name was derived from Kaunachi, an Arapaho word. So while the first and authentic map of the new park identifies it as the Hakihana Valley, and locals call it North Fork Valley, its official name today is Kawanichi Valley, a loose translation of an Arapaho word meaning coyote. There are, of course, a good number of coyotes in the valley and throughout the park even today, but they're more frequently heard than seen. If you haven't already heard their wild, eerie yipping sound, you'll recognize the coyote yowl when you hear this. Shy and elusive by nature, coyotes are accustomed to an unmolested existence. They withdraw when approached closely and are adept at disappearing swiftly. Other animals who live but are seldom seen in the park are bears, bobcats, cougar, and foxes. Occasionally, a bear makes an appearance on a campground at night. A bear which has become adjusted to life among humans, like those in Yellowstone, can be a nuisance, may even be dangerous. It's fortunate in a way that we have so few of them. If you should see a bobcat, it would probably be along the roadside at night. Fox are extremely rare on the east side of the park, but appear in some numbers along the Kawanichi Valley on the west side. And the cougar, or mountain lion, can usually be counted on to disappear when people are around. Now that we're more than halfway through the park and have spent considerable time around rock piles, it seems almost pointless to tell you this, but in case you were worried, I want to assure you there are absolutely no poisonous snakes in the park. In fact, the only snake in the park is the perfectly harmless garter snake. One of the streams we'll be crossing on our way down this west slope is Squeak Creek. It was named for Robert Wheeler. As a young dude, he arrived here at his brother's ranch in 1885, dressed in silk hat, striped coat, and kid gloves. To acquire such sartorial splendor, he'd squirreled away his money for months. In the Western world of rugged men, it didn't take Wheeler long to learn how to dress, nor did it take him long to alter his soft city ways. During the Spanish-American War, he had charge of the horses for a troop of Rough Riders. For a while, he worked mines in the Rockies. Then, in 1907, he homesteaded 160 acres on the North Fork of the Colorado River. Here, he built Camp Wheeler, a tent house resort for sportsmen. They immediately nicknamed it Squeaky Bob's Place, because in moments of stress and excitement, Wheeler's voice would become shrill and shrieky. In 1926, Squeaky Bob Wheeler sold his resort to Lester Scott, who changed his name to Phantom Valley Ranch. His plans to enlarge and expand the resort never materialized because one of his partners, Milton Statler, one of the owners of the Statler hotel chain, was killed in an automobile accident. Irwin Beatty purchased the resort in 1941 and in the early 1960s sold the property to the National Park Service and tore down the camp in order to recreate the wilderness. So, though traces of Camp Wheeler are gone, its existence stays alive through two thoughtfully named creeks, Squeak Creek and Phantom Creek. Along this road, there's a trail which will take you to an abandoned mining town. What happened was, during the 1880s, a mining boom on the west side of the park led to the establishment of Dutchtown, Teller, and Lulu City. From the outset, there was controversy about which girl was so popular that a whole city was named after her. Some old-timers contend it was the daughter of Benjamin Franklin Burnett, one of the founders of Lulu City. Others insist it was Lulu Stewart, daughter of a local mailman. This has never been settled, and in fact the argument outlasted the city. Today there's very little left of Lulu City. A few foundations, a couple of buildings, and that's about all. Except maybe some mighty good fishing in that area. Have you noticed along this portion of Trail Ridge Road, there are several trailhead markers and parking areas where it's possible for you to leave the car and take a hike? Actually, you miss much of the inspirational beauty of Rocky Mountain National Park if your sightseeing is confined to those parts of the park reachable only by car. Looking at the park from a paved road is a one-dimensional experience compared to what you feel when you go inland and put yourself in the midst of all this rustic, pristine beauty. There are over 300 miles of trails in the park. Most of them can be traveled by horseback, but a few trails leading to more remote areas are suitable for foot travel only. Horses may be rented at most hotels, lodges, and camps in or near the park. Several campgrounds accommodate visitors who want to live outdoors. The major campgrounds are at Moraine Park, Glacier Basin, Aspen Glen, Ender Valley, Longs Peak, Wild Basin, Timber Creek, and Never Summer. If you're thinking of staying overnight, the latter two, Timber Creek and Never Summer, are the ones closest to where we are now. The campgrounds have fireplaces for cooking, tables, sanitary facilities, and water. House trailers are permitted at most campgrounds, but there are no sewer, electric, or water connections. Pets such as cats and dogs must be kept leashed or confined. The cabins and food ranches you see along this road are only private in-holdings claimed before the park was established. There are some private roads leading to private homes on land that has not yet been purchased by the government. Several years ago, private in-holdings numbered over 50. Today, there's only about 15. Before Rocky Mountain National Park was officially established in 1915, most of the land here was privately owned. Looking back into history, we know that this land was originally inhabited by Indians. There are at least 40 sites which have evidence that Indians used this land intermittently. That is, while they probably didn't settle villages here, they used the area for hunting, traveling, and yes, probably the same way we do, as a vacation paradise. The white man was slow to settle in this region. Neither Pony Express riders nor cattle drovers came here. There were some explorers and French-speaking trappers in the area from time to time, but the first known white settlers were Joel Estes and his family. In 1859, Estes and his son purchased property in the area now known as Estes Park. He built a modest cabin, and in 1860, his family settled in. Following a long, cold winter in 1865, Estes decided to leave the park for a milder climate and a wider range for his cattle. He sold his property for a yoke of oxen. A real estate genius he wasn't. Some years before, he'd sold a California gold mine for $30,000. The same mine was resold 30 days later for $500,000. Today, the old Estes cabin site east of the village at the junction of Colorado 66 and Fish Creek Road is marked by a large granite boulder erected by the Estes Park Chamber of Commerce in 1926. The next known settlers in the park were James Nugent, Rocky Mountain Jim, and Griffith J. Evans, whose home became the first shelter for tourists, such as the celebrated English authoress Isabella Lucy Bird. Miss Bird's book, A Lady's Life in the Rocky Mountains, describes her experiences in Estes Park during the fall of 1873. Sometime before December 1873, when Miss Bird left the Rocky Mountains, a new figure made its appearance in the vicinity. An enterprising Irish nobleman, the Earl of Dunraven, saw a tremendous opportunity here. In some way, he linked up with Griffith Evans in a plot to secure as much land as possible in order to establish a European feudal system and become an American lord. 6 months after Miss Bird's departure, Griffith Evans shot James Nugent. The supposition is that Evans shot Nugent because the latter stood in the way of Dunraven's gaining complete control of the park. Strong-willed and determined, the Earl dominated the lives and activities of the people of Estes Park for 2 decades. In 1874, he formed the Estes Park Company Limited and tried to cover up one of the most gigantic land steals in the history of Colorado. Eventually, through bogus homestead claims and some purchases, Dunraven gained control of about 100,000 acres of land. The hostility of the permanent settlers who came to the park in 1874 and 1875 caused them to formally contest Dunraven's claims. Over the years, they proved to be successful. After Dunraven lost between $200,000 and $300,000, his company, in 1907, sold the remainder of his holdings, 6,600 acres, to D.B. Sanborn and F.O. Stanley of Stanley Steamer fame. The plans of these men were as different from those of Dunraven as day is from night. Dunraven's feudal domain was transformed by these two brilliant businessmen into a paradise of primitive beauty. The actual establishment of Rocky Mountain National Park is historically linked with the efforts of one man, Enos A. Mills, a famous naturalist. His enthusiasm, writing, and lectures laid the groundwork which ultimately led to legislation in 1915 setting aside this outstanding area for use and enjoyment by people from all over the world. Imagine how Enos Mills must have felt when he participated in the dedication ceremonies for Rocky Mountain National Park at Horseshoe Park in September 1915. Incidentally, the first man to go down the Colorado and through the Grand Canyon was Major John Wesley Powell. He also led the first party to climb Long's Peak. Fishing is a very popular sport here. Park headquarters has all the information the fishermen would want to know about the most lucrative spots and how to get there. When you leave the park, you may want to try Lake Granby, Shadow Mountain, and Grand Lake. These are considered good places to try your luck. Grand Lake, incidentally, is the highest registered yacht anchorage in the world at an elevation of 8,373 feet. This yacht club was established in 1902. Grand Lake is a colorful little town just outside the western entrance to Rocky Mountain National Park. One of the most interesting stories relating to the era of the roaming Indians is the tragic massacre of the Ute Indians on the shores of Grand Lake by the Arapaho tribe. How much of this is poetry and how much is fact is hard to determine, but this is the way I hear it. Many moons before the white man came here, an unexpected violent storm came over Shadow Mountain, terrifying the Utes encamped along the north shore of Grand Lake. Ute scouts, terrified by the awesome sight of blood-red clouds, abandoned their posts on Lookout Rock, crept back to camp, and joined the other braves and squaws huddled in fear, not knowing what to do about this strange, whipping storm. Suddenly, out of the unnatural darkness, for it was still afternoon, they heard a clear cry of the whippoorwill. The Utes recognized it as the battle cry of the Rawlins, Cheyenne, and Arapaho Indians, led by Chief Red Wolf, a warrior of great renown. Prepared for this onslaught, the squaws hurriedly pulled out to the middle of the lake with their papooses, while the braves fought nobly in the drenching rain, led by their chief, Chickawaw. Close to 80 Utes lay dead as the two chiefs engaged in mortal combat. When Red Wolf's spear was shattered, the valiant Chickawaw refused to fight an unarmed foe. He cast his spear to the ground, and both drew their hunting knives and continued the battle. Both braves were covered in blood when Chief Chickawaw's blade pierced Red Wolf's heart. It was but too weakened to last longer. Chickawaw also fell, dying alongside the foe he'd just slain. At that moment, a treacherous wind tore across the lake, screaming as it overturned the raft and sent helpless Ute squaws and papooses into the fire. As the victorious Arapahoes withdrew after the slaughter to lick their wounds, a Ute runner sped home to summon another band of Utes. They rushed to the lake, viewed the carnage, and pursued the Arapaho up Trail Ridge, and finally killing their new leader, Chief Black Wolf, and all his braves. Chief Chickawaw's death was avenged, but the sorrow for the loss of their women and children could not give the sad Utes a feeling of happiness from their victory. They returned to Grand Lake quietly to bury their dead, and thereafter avoided Grand Lake, calling it Spirit Lake, because to them it is haunted by the souls of the dead. One summer morning, not long ago, I was standing at the lake, and as the sun reached the eastern shore, a chill went through me as I saw the spirit-like vapors rise into the air. You go there on an early summer morning, and perhaps you too will call it Spirit Lake after that. Today, Grand Lake, the last stop on our auto tape tour, is a comfortable, modern community. There you'll find accommodations to suit your family budget. dining out in Grand Lake is something of a treat, for there is a wide choice of fine restaurants, dining rooms, and cafes. Nightlife is varied and exciting. A first-run movie theater is open nightly. During the summer, you'll find live stage productions of popular Broadway hits. When we get to Grand Lake, look for the Auto Tape Tour concessionaire. His name is at the bottom of your rental agreement. When you hand him the player and tape cassette, he'll return your deposit. I hope you've enjoyed our auto tape tour, and I hope we'll have the pleasure of making similar trips together in other national parks. Thank you for being so nice. You may turn me off now.
And this is the Grand Lake entry station. And that was Rocky Mountain National Park Trail Ridge Road from Estes to Grand Lake.